it's very important that we reconnect. I mean, we are connected to our body, but to become conscious and aware how the body and the soul or the mind, they're not separate, they're connected, and how how our thoughts and our belief systems affect our emotions and then have the physical sensation.
Yeah.
And for example, it's very simple to make an example, like when you imagine to eat a lemon, to put a lemon into your mouth,
Right.
and then immediately we have a physical sensation, a response. There is a response like, oh my God, it's so sour.
Right. Right.
So I think this is, what do you think? This is, for me, I think a very good example to realize how quickly everything, how the body is so connected.
Yeah. Yeah. The memories, not only the immediate, but like you're
Yeah,
saying, like a smell or a certain
yeah,
sound can stimulate within us a
yeah,
certain memory of something and create a physical response. And I know for
yeah.
myself, for example, I'm writing a book, and in the process of going back into the past
Mm,
and going through aspects of my childhood, like we all have, it's easy for us
yeah,
to turn the page on that part of ourselves. But when we go back, then we start, as I notice, I'll write, and then with maybe about 5, 10 minutes thereafter, I'll feel a physical sensation in my body. I'll feel
yeah,
my neck will stiffen, or my
yeah,
agitation will rise, or I'll feel my skin. And I had
yeah.
last year, maybe last year, for example, I was writing about a strong conflict and memory of something that took place. And within
Mhm.
maybe about a month, or not a month, about a few weeks thereafter, I noticed my skin was inflaming, and it was
Wow.
itching and red and so annoying.
I had the same experience with a skin issue as you did. And I had also eczema and I had it in my face. And it was horrible because I had no face at that time. It
Oh, yeah.
was the skin was so, it was burning, like it was an inflammation, it was burning. And I tried everything. And then I had the idea, was like, I felt like I was guided to do, I started to talk with my skin. And the skin issue, when you have eczema or any kind of inflammation, it's the skin is also um, is a boundary to the outside world, to the material world. It's a
Right.
boundary. So when there are boundary violations in relationships or in early childhood, could also be that the body responds like that in order to keep us protected or safe. So like a boundary, setting a
Wow.
boundary.
Wow. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. And I, at that time, I had a kind of difficult life circumstances, let's put it that way. And I had this skin issue. I had it in my childhood as well, but I had it for many years since I was a little child. And then it went away when I started doing martial arts in my youth. I started doing martial arts, and then like miraculously, my skin issue just vanished.
Wow. Wow.
And I thought, wow, that's great. It was gone. And then later, approximately 10 years later, it started again. It just pops up. And my skin, I looked terrible. It was so much pain. I was so desperate because I didn't know what to do. And I knew, using the chemical creams doctors prescribe for
Right.
that is not the solution. It's just, killing the symptoms for a short period of time, but then you have to use it and use it over again. It's not the solution. I knew that. So then I started to talk with my skin. Like I had this intuitive guiding to talk with my skin, and I asked my body and my skin, or the issue, the how do you say, the skin disease.
Yeah.
It's called neurodermitis. I don't know, is
Yes.
this the
Yes.
English term? Neuro.
Inflammation of the derma, right?
Yeah, 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 this is what I had. So I asked my body, what is the message you want to tell me with this issue? I mean, and I felt the same. I wanted to get out of my body,
Right.
out of my skin. it was so painful, and it looked not very beautiful, and yeah, it's not comfortable. So I asked my body, what is the message? And I closed my eyes. I was sitting in my bed, and then I realized my heart was opening up, and I received messages. It was like my body or my soul was telling me, you have to set boundaries. You have to leave this relationship, and you have to set proper boundaries. You have to learn that. And you have to learn what is important to say no, and you have to know what are your needs, but don't get your needs met by toxic relationships.
Yeah, yes, yes, yes.
And so I had this answer, and it was like, wow. I was like, oh my God, I felt so much gratitude and love for my body, and even for my skin issue. I was grateful that my body was trying to tell me, or my soul. I think the soul tries to communicate with us also through our body. And as far as I know, we have a body and kind of body intelligence that is also like a not a being, but it's an intelligence in the body. It's like
Yeah.
not separate, but yeah. And when you talk with your body, I was so grateful that my body was trying to protect me and giving me signs to change the direction in my life.
Yeah.
And with this gratitude I felt, and all the love, I felt that my heart was so open, and I had no resistance anymore to the skin issue. I deeply surrendered with gratitude and love, and I said, okay, now it's time for healing. And I visualized the healed state of my skin. And then I said, I release resistance to it now. I will not be bothered. I will not put too much attention to it. And I will go on living the next few weeks. And I'm sure I made a deal with myself. I said, until this date, I will be free of the issue. And guess what happened? Exactly that happened. And then after a few weeks, I forgot that I had the skin issue, and I realized, oh my God, I'm looking normal. Everything is gone. And it was so amazing, because there was also like a breadcrumb, like I was taught how healing works, and it's like we need the energy to generate the energy of love and gratitude. So that means also when we feel love and gratitude towards something, we accept it, we allow it to be here. And there is no resistance, and there is a deep surrender to what is. And as you said a few minutes ago, then we have to release the expectation of the outcome.
Yeah.
So just let go of the outcome. Just like, that's okay as it is right now, and I allow it to be here because there is a reason for it. But I will nurture it with my love, gratitude, and compassion. And if that is possible, it has to be authentically. It's not like, okay, now I have compassion. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So
That's inspiring.
Yeah, but you did the same. And this is how healing works for everything, even painful emotions. This is what I experience. But it is not easy to get into this energetic state, or this state in your mind or in your heart. It's not always easy. So that's the work that we have to try to align with this mindset or this attitude, and become vulnerable to surrender. And it's nothing we should force. It's a baby step process, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I think it becomes cyclical, because I think if it comes back in different aspects of your life,
Yeah.
it does come back, because it's the way
Yeah.
it's the body's signaling, the way it expresses itself towards a person. So a person could have palpitations, their heart could beat fast, panic attack, and the skin issues. And I know that burning sensation for me is a sign that as you mentioned, which is so profound, boundaries. I notice if I'm in the communicative state of not overstepping, but being overstepped, and not allowing myself to create the communication that that asserts
Yeah.
myself but doesn't over assert myself, but keeps
Yeah.
that fine line without pushing and without caving in.
Yeah.
And that's the balance. And that's something that the skin reminded me recently, again, as
Yeah.
you mentioned yourself. And it also taught me
Yeah.
to be patient with the process, the act of
Yeah.
waiting.
It's also that you release the emotions that were painful. So I
Yeah,
think that's a good that you released the painful emotions that were connected to this experience. So that's how it sounds for me.
yeah, that's what it was for me as well. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
so and then which leads us to the subject of that path, like we mentioned, of going inward to the inner child, of
Yes.
recycling back to those experiences and
Yeah.
being courageous enough and
Yeah.
having the courage, having the wherewithal to be able to say, all right, I'm going to sit with myself and I'm going to go on this journey inward and I'm going to, as you
Yeah.
mentioned, profoundly, is to feel your emotions rather than think your emotions. And that was
Yeah.
something that's on your website and a profound statement. So maybe you
Yeah.
could touch upon that aspect.
Yes. So when we get like have experienced traumatic events in childhood, one or several, which every person on this earth for sure has experienced. What happens then is that the consciousness splits in parts, and so the experience is then stored in it's separated. The consciousness separated itself, or in several several strings, not strings, but several parts
Fragments
in
or parts. Yeah.
fragments. Fragments. Yeah, yeah. So, and we have survived this traumatic event, but the emotions are not released. So when we experience this traumatic event, we have a lot of painful emotions. And then what happens then is that we create certain thought patterns around this event. And with specific thought patterns, we, how do you say, we create a belief. We try to avoid experiencing this traumatic event again.
Yeah.
Does it make sense so far?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and that's a little bit complicated. And so the negative emotions that we have experienced then are suppressed. They're suppressed because we didn't have any resources to release and to process what came with this event.
Yep.
We weren't able to release it physically, the energy that was building up at that traumatic event. So because we were not able to release those emotions and all the energy in the body, in our emotional body, so we have pushed them away. They're pushed away and they're suppressed in the subconscious, and they're still there. They're like a backup
Yeah.
storage.
Right.
You said, yeah. So, and even if we move on and we grow up years later and we have overcome everything, but it's still there. It's not gone. And the thing we're doing is we are using a lot of energy, or like with distracting us or ourselves when the negative emotions came up again, when we are getting triggered. So we try to suppress them again. Then maybe have addictions. We smoke a cigarette. We do anything else to distract ourselves to not feel those emotions again. But they're knocking on our door over and over again. And
Yeah.
then because we don't know how to deal with them. We don't know how to deal with them. It's so painful. And we have physical, uncomfortable sensations as well. So we try to suppress them again. We try to get distracted, and then we do that over and over again. But it got worse, or it will become worse.
Yeah.
So we cannot overcome so we use coping mechanisms to bypass those emotions, or to bypass feeling those emotions, but they're not released. So in order to heal that and all that, we need to learn to feel the emotions in our body and not to think our emotions, because when we have this trauma stress, or we have PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorder, and all that, like all this trauma, the consequences of trauma, or anxiety, panic attacks, what else? There are so many. When we experience these issues, that means that trauma is not resolved, and we try to suppress it even deeper. But we are also in this survival mode that makes it difficult for us to get into the feeling mode, because the heart is closed. The heart is closed, and we are thinking, we are overthinking, we have negative thought patterns, we're repeating thought patterns, we are in our minds. Yeah. And this is the difficult thing. You cannot, by analyzing what happened, we can understand things with the mind. But in order to release the emotions that are stored in our cellular memory, in our body, in the emotional body, in the energy body, we need to feel them. The feeling process is the transmuter or transformer.
Yeah, both. You can use both.
Yeah. So but we have to train ourselves. It's not easy when you do not know how to do it. And for me, it was heavy. A few years ago, I started this process with myself. I needed really to remind myself and my brain not to get caught up in the story which I experienced. But when I felt this trigger, I really sat down and I allowed myself to feel the whole emotions that came up. And it was really hard because I had to train not to be in my mind or in my head and my brain, because that's a highway. Yes. I really had to train myself. I started meditation at that time a few years ago, 8 years ago approximately, or no, 10 years ago. And and the process started 9 years ago. I really had to, so I was a little bit trained in meditation and sitting down, but then you can use meditation and then try to get out of your mind and feel whatever sensation comes up in your body.
Yes.
And by doing this process, the story that happened is not so important. Most important is that we do not think our emotions, to learn how to feel with all the sensations in the physical body. Does it make sense? Or
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just I'm thinking of the experiences in my life where that came to be, and I remember the breakthrough myself. I remember the breakthrough of people telling me maybe years ago, saying you have to feel, and I thought by thinking it, you're feeling it. But what we're really doing is we're protecting our heart from feeling it as much as we can, looking for each and every person that will continuously listen to our story so that we don't have to feel it. And then you get, then you get the narcissist energy, which is that energy that keeps you in a place where you want to become the caretaker, and you want to remove yourself from your own physical feeling and cater on to somebody else's needs. And then then they see the inner strength within yourself and recognize that they don't possess that, and they're saying, how do you rely upon me when you have the strength that I wish I had? And then you go through the cycle of becoming a victim of circumstances, and that you mentioned it before, the story. So that story is I feel more comfortable being the victim until I'm not comfortable anymore being the victim, and creating that boundary and my own power and let me feel what I'm feeling. And that's when the journey, like you said, starts to open up.
I mean, I have been a victim. You, as you said, have been a victim. I think we all have been victims, and some also perpetrators. I think with the victim thing is that we cannot get out of the victim mode until we have resolved what has become the victim within ourselves.
Yes.
it's really important, because when people say get over your victim mode, or you have to get out of your victim mode, and so that I don't like this, because that's really unfair, because people cannot get out of their victim mode unless they have learned to set healthy boundaries. Or what is a boundary? What are their needs? When we haven't learned what our needs are, how can we say what our boundaries is when our boundaries are always connected to the needs of others, or to our needs are connected to the needs of others, if we have codependent patterns, or what else? So I think it's very important to really do the inner work and face the victim within ourselves, and how it makes us feel that we have to release the emotions around the victimhood, and also to allow ourselves, because when we are victims, there was no control in our lives. We experienced painful things, and we need to face the victim within ourselves and release it. And then we also have to learn, so it's a lot of work to do. We have to learn how to set boundaries. So if someone says, yeah, you have to set boundaries, okay, but I don't know how to do this. If you have never learned how to set boundaries, or if you weren't allowed to set boundaries in your childhood, for example, when the parents or caregivers have overstepped your boundaries over and over again, you were not allowed to have boundaries. We adjusted to our environment in order to be accepted and to be loved and not to be rejected. This was the number one. So then what happens we do the same to ourselves, what happened with us, or how the parents treated us. We do the same, we internalize the same. So we have split parts, fragmented parts or aspects of ourselves that treat us the same way over and over again, until we face them, until we embrace them, until we listen to them, what they need, and then allow them to be there and nurture them. This is shortly said, doing a kind of inner journey. So we need to face them, we need to listen to them, we need to feel the emotions that come with the separated parts, or with the inner children. And so I think that's a huge packet. But the same goes with the victim thing. We have become victim, and the first thing is to really fully acknowledge that we have become a victim, and to feel the powerlessness that we experienced, and to become aware what is needed, or what is needed in order to not become a victim. We need to learn to assert ourselves. So are we willing to, when we assert ourselves, then we sometimes have to be willing to lose people, friends, family members, people who we love. Because the moment we stand by ourselves and we do not allow other people to overstep our boundaries or thresholds, or to say no, and assert ourselves and set healthy boundaries, then sometimes some relationships or friendships will break down, because they were used to different patterns with you, so they cannot continue their way with you. And then we have to be willing to lose people, and then find new people. When we have learned everything, we will find the right people. But that's a huge package.
Yes, absolutely. It's a huge package, but
Yeah.
in order for you to express yourself, you had to have gone through it in order to be in this place, to be able to share this wisdom and this inspiration, because it isn't an easy journey, because it's even expressing yourself, communicating together, we can get triggered by just speaking about the subject itself. And then when our bodies are weak, in a more weakened state from stress externally to us, work, jobs, moving, whatever it is, it intensifies the impact. But the great thing I find is that when I feel that rising, I recognize I'm on the right path to feeling, as opposed to grabbing something and looking for something, or obsessing over my external environment, whatever it may be. And if I, like you said, and that gives me that reinforces what I do because you said that the last time, and that reinforced again to me the path I'm on, and it made it more profound because when you're in the company and communicating with people of like-mindedness who've experienced that, it's a
Yeah,
great support system. And even people who
yeah,
haven't, at least it's a trail to pull people in the right direction, at least to see that
yeah.
it's possible.
If we don't do it, nobody will.
Yeah.
So, and it's very important. You don't have to. I'm personally, and I have experienced also narcissistic
Yeah.
parents and all that. So, what I think is very important that we do not have to be so connected with people, narcissistic people, or very toxic or toxic. Everyone uses this word, but destructive people.
Yep.
So it's so important to have boundaries and to say no. And we're not a bad person just because we don't want to have a connection with such people anymore.
Right.
As you said, we can have understanding for them. We don't, I think I would not even force myself to say I love you or so. Maybe on a soul level there is love, but never
Yes.
force. I think it's very important to not force ourselves to forgiveness or to love them because it's spiritual. I think it's very important to understand things, not to harm another person, but really to decide the way you want to live. And if you want to disconnect completely from such people, even if it's the parents, and if this is the only way you get peace in your life, or we get peace in our lives, to completely disconnect, then this is the right decision for
Yes.
myself.
Yes.
And I think it's very important not to be strict, because this life, we have this life. We have several lives, but we have this life. But if I'm not taking care of myself, who will? And I have made the choice a few years ago that I do not allow anyone anymore to mess up my life, or to,
Yes. Yes.
I have boundaries. If I have these conditions in my life in order for me that I can thrive, because I don't want to get caught up into drama over and over again. I don't want to. I said, I'm done now with all that. I'm done with that. I mean, that doesn't mean that there's nothing painful. It doesn't mean that there will never be a painful experience in life again. That
Right.
doesn't, it's not what I mean with this.
Yes.
There will be, for sure. But as far as I can control, or as far as I have awareness, it's when I meet people or in friendships, you can feel things. So if you see or you feel that there are some destructive patterns which are not very healthy for a good relationship, and you cannot resolve it together, and it's over and over again, then it's important to separate yourself and to take good care of yourself.
Yeah.
Easier said than done,
Yeah.
because if easier said than done. But I think it's absolutely okay to not um to not get toxic people over and over into your life. And yeah, what do
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah. I agree with you. I find
Yeah,
it, I find it the pattern is enticing when you're used to it, when
yeah,
you grew up in it. So
yeah. We
it's
didn't know anything else.
yeah, yeah.
We didn't know anything else.
I think as I was a phys ed teacher. So as a teacher and having a lot of students in New York, I taught in New York as a phys ed teacher. So I had like sometimes 60 to 100 students. And I think at the
Wow.
beginning, what happened was seeing children triggered me because I saw myself in these children. And I saw the agitator. And I, as a child, looked for attention. So I would do things to not agitate, but to like make jokes and to like, to release my inner anxieties. Um,
Mhm.
and eventually it didn't really work. And I realized the isolation. But as a teacher and seeing all these students, I saw all the kids were triggers for me because I saw in them the aspects of myself. And
Yeah.
I'm bringing this up because I thought it was relevant towards how
Yeah.
how you see the patterns of other children's behavior
Yeah.
mirror the behavior of what
Yes.
you said. And so my intuition was very strong. So I'd look at the child and know what was going on with the kid at home, per se. And through
But
a hundred
yeah.
children, I would make the theme about that person. Nobody know it was him because they couldn't have 100 children. And then all of them would become quiet and they would all listen
Yeah.
because it was relevant towards the teaching moment because I had that
Yeah.
insight from my own childhood. And it helped them eventually. They were disruptive and they'd say, shh, 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 I want to hear, I want to listen. And they were rough kids. It was,
I believe that.
yeah. So eventually I got through to them and it was teaching me to have the patience and the self-respect for myself because I was giving them an aspect of something they weren't getting that I needed as well.
Children. And I find
Yes.
it really great how you explained with the children you taught when you were a teacher. So that you realized these are your inner children.
Yes.
And you have uh, given them attention and you have realized things. So you have healed also your inner children with that way.
Yeah.
And I think this is so important. It's not all, it's feeling the emotions, yes, but also becoming aware or to connect with our inner children when we see something or when we go inward and we ask ourselves, maybe we can, when we feel these painful emotions, and maybe there comes the inner child, the little child, the little
Yes. Yes.
Adam, the little Julia, or the little Gary, or whoever. And
Right.
then you see yourself maybe 2 years old, and then you can like reparent your inner child and to also connect with this inner child and to nurture it like you would nurture your children
Yeah.
when they feel pain, when they're crying, or when they got hurt. So what we are normally going to do, we go towards the child and we ask what happened. And then we let the child talk to ourselves. We let the child speak. This would be the best way to do it. Not to say, get yourself together, stop crying,
Mm.
not like this. We should ask, always we should ask, so what happened? So listen, feel into it, acknowledge what happened, not trying to push it away or to alter the emotion or alter the feeling. That's very important. Not trying to feel differently that we actually feel.
Yes.
Does it make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
because very often I experience this, and I think many of us do as well. We tell ourselves in a certain situation, we maybe have bad feelings or we feel negative emotions. We don't feel good. And then we try to alter this feeling state because we want to feel good. And then we tell ourselves how we should feel.
Right.
Or maybe we say, I'm angry now. And then we think, oh, when I'm angry, I'm a bad person. So I'm not sure, I should not be angry. But
Yes.
the anger it has a message. It says, listen to me, you have to change something. Maybe you have to set a boundary, maybe you have to say no to someone. And if so it's very important not trying to alter the feeling that comes up. So then we have to allow ourselves, like, okay, I'm angry right now and I allow myself to be angry, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can listen. I can ask the emotion, what do you want to tell me? I'm angry now. That's okay. I'm angry. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
even
Yes.
if we feel like hate or something, that doesn't mean we do something bad. That's a different thing. We are not bad by feeling certain emotions,
That's important.
by allowing ourselves. That's very important. So the moment we try to alter the feelings or to change the emotion because we think I should feel different, I want to be a good person, I want to feel
Right. Right.
good,
Right.
you know what we're you know what we're doing then? We're gaslighting ourselves, we're manipulating ourselves.
Yeah.
And then
That's a good
yeah,
one.
and that
That's
makes,
excellent.
yeah, we I experienced this also. I mean, I'm telling all from my own experience and what I have become aware, the process of self-inquiry and asking yourself, get to know yourself better, or myself. We have to get to know ourselves better. So it is so important to allow our emotions exactly the way it is right now. That doesn't mean that we have to live with it for the next 100 years,
Right.
but not putting time on it. It's like, just now it is okay to feel that way. And if it is there in 5 minutes, then it's okay in 5 minutes. But time should not, like, we should have put away the time
Yeah.
concept, like expecting it should be different in 10 minutes, because I cannot stand it any longer. So we're allowing it to feel it right now, and then let go. It will dissolve by itself. And the more, or the better we surrender to this emotion, the faster it gets.
Yeah.
This is my experience. So we should allow this emotion, and not trying to feel differently, or not trying to think differently. We try to escape always, because we have certain kind of concepts where we have created concepts where we think we should be a certain way, or we think we should feel a certain way, and we think we should think a certain way.
Right.
And then we are separated. Yeah. And in this moment, we try to push ourselves towards this direction. We separate ourselves, from our inner children, from our soul, from our emotions. So how can there be resolution or any dissolvement, or
Yeah.
dissolvement?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not possible, because we push the negative emotions away and then try to become something we're not. And we cannot dissolve it like
Perfect.
this.
Yeah.
It's only being there, giving myself permission, sitting there. Maybe it's half an hour, maybe it's 5 minutes. 5 minutes are better than nothing. And
Right.
sometimes it's, when you're really into this work, it's for hours, sitting there for hours, several times. Not only one time, sometimes it has to be processed several times. If it's really, really heavy, if trauma is really heavy, so this is my experience, you have to sit maybe several times, and it takes a few months.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because it gets better and better and better and better.
That I agree with.
Yeah.
That I agree with. That's excellent,
Yeah.
because I just wanted to say something, and I'd like you to touch upon your website and exactly, where people can reach you. I
Yeah.
just I just thought of what you were saying was relevant insofar as understanding that our parents, hearing their inner voice when you have a cold, or you don't feel well, or
Yeah.
you have an emotional problem. All right, get over it. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You should be stronger than that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I remember as a teenager going to therapy to try to remedy certain things that went on in my house, and my father, being one of the perpetrators of his actions, would say, "Do you really need to speak to somebody? You can't talk to me." And so I saw that he was threatened by
Yeah.
my growth and my creating a boundary. And every time, that was the most difficult part to break free from codependency, was, can I do this on
Yeah.
my own without the support of people who are supposed to take care of me?
With them,
Yeah.
I think this is also the connection to our soul.
Yeah.
Or not, I know this is the connection to our soul. And and there we can get answers. As you said, we can ask ourselves so many things. I experience it as an inner universe. You don't it's not, you don't need a movie, because when you go inside, you have you have a universe to explore and to experience. And there's so much inside, and so much wisdom comes from it, because there's so much knowledge and wisdom inside. We have to make the connection.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
or if we want to have a better life and we want to feel better, we have to make the connection.
Yeah,
Or
great.
the connection is there. It's just, we have to allow ourselves. The connection is there. We need to allow ourselves and to realize and to become aware. Awareness is I think the first step. Yeah, we cannot heal what we're not aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So
Yeah, we cannot.
if
Yeah,
somebody were interested in getting in touch with you and working on some of the things that you discussed, where could they
yeah.
do that?
You can contact me via my homepage website. That's juliacelina.com.
Okay.
And or my email address.
Yeah, I'll put that down in the description below.
Yeah.
I'll put all that information down. All right, I want to I want to thank you for joining me and being able to be courageous in sharing your story, your information and wisdom is in the aftermath of your experiences, our experiences, and the people's who watch and have that. And it's courageous to be able to do so. I'm inspired each time I speak on subjects like this that give me that energy to know I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Adam, as well. It was a really big pleasure being here and having the conversation with you. And also, it's also inspiring for me talking with you and people like you and me having these experiences and, moving forward, develop and evolve and, learn more and more.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much as well for being so open.